The 13 pillars in recovery. Every person needs to walk in their recovery path at their own rhythm. This journey is different for each person. However, below there are some important pillars that will be useful in this process. Acceptance. Begin by acknowledging your current situation. Review the denial messages that have been around your life. Change these messages to counteract this denial. It is necessary to admit the lack of control you have over your life or specific moments. Faith. An important pillar of the 12-step program in Alcoholics Anonymous is the belief in a higher power that will support you in the recovery path. It is important to have faith in this power throughout all the process. Support. It is important not to try to make the recovery path by your own. Ask support from the closest persons to you and join support groups. Self-reflections. Identify the factors detailed in the chapter, reasons linked to addictions, and triggers that are in your life. Also conduct an analysis of all the negative consequences in your life due to the addiction problem. Recognize. Openly admit your mistakes to your higher power and another person. This step is crucial for personal growth and having a good start. Show humility. Acknowledge your inability to overcome your addiction alone. Look for support and join treatment programs. Confront your mental challenges. Work on the issues that have been triggers in your addictions. Show willingness to make amends. Make a list of the people who have been affected due to your addictions and behaviors. Make a commitment in making amendments with each of them. Construct relationships. Work on repairing relationships and fix mistakes whenever possible. Review. Progress. Maintaining the spiritual progress you have achieved is crucial. Continue self-reflection, admitting your faults and making amends as needed. Review the stage of the Jelinek curve, detailed in sub-chapters, the Jelinek curve and breaking the cycle that you are facing at the moment. Discover your purpose. Make reflections of what you want in your life, the things that you enjoy, etc. Establish a plan and individual objectives to reach the life that you expect. Commitment. Commit to implementing these principles in all areas of your life. Inspire. Help others struggling with addiction by sharing your experiences. Additional support in Czech Republic, Spain and Italy. Czech Republic. Clinica Addictologie, Clinic of Addictology. Phone +4 202 24 96 8269 9 to 14 p.m. Email info@addictologie@lf1 Website https www.addictologie anonymni narkomani. Phone +4 2073 169 9152. Contact https www.anonymninarkomani.rs Zetkani. Website https www.anonymninarkomani.rs Italy. Narcotici Anonimi Italia. Phone 0684 025043 and +39 0553 951204. Email info@enaitalia.org. Website https://enaitalia.org. Narconon Alfier. Phone +39 0721-40 4074. Email info@narcononalfier.is. Website https://www.narcononalfier.it/Spain. Narcóticos Anónimos. Phone +3462 2776 Email info@narcoticosanónimos.es. Website https://www.narcoticosanónimos.es/ Proyecto Hombre Cantabria. Phone +34 94 2 23 6 1 06. Email phcantabria@proyectohombrecantabria.org. Website proyectohombrecantabria.org. Quiz 1. Which are some examples of withdrawal symptoms? A. Restlessness, muscle aches, altered sleep patterns, bone aches, vomits, diarrhea, cold flashes with goosebumps. B. Quitting from school and other activities. C. Withdrawal from alcohol and drugs. D. Withdrawal symptoms do not exist. Correct answer. A. 2. In assistance treatments, what CRA stands for? A. Community and reading about addictions. B. Community reinforcement approach. C. counteracting and reviewing addictions. D. Control risks, advanced treatment. Correct answer? B. 3. What is one characteristic of holistic therapy? A. It has 3 phases: contemplation, action, maintenance. B. It involves using drugs or alcohol in small quantities. C. It encourages relaxation and emotional well-being through techniques such as yoga, acupuncture, art therapy, tai chi, meditation, mindfulness, etc. D. It uses a special pill called holistic. Correct answer, C. 4. One concept of motivational interviewing is: A. Dealers carry out interviews to provide the best drug. B. Patients are motivated to establish their goals to address the main problem. C. It uses small quantities of drugs for preventing relapse. D. Therapists motivate patients to work without objectives. Correct answer, B. 5. Which is one characteristic of resident treatment programs? A. Patients have therapies at home. B. These programs do not exist. C. Patients have group sessions at home. D. They are carried out in a controlled facility with constant supervision of healthcare providers. Correct answer, D. 6. What is a relapse? A. Patients relax in an environment for not consuming again. B. A person who's working on their recovery of addictions consumes substances after a period of being sober. C. Patients have group sessions. D. When patients fail attending one therapy session. Correct answer, B. 7. What are the first phases of the Jelinek curve provided by Elvin Morton Jelinek? A. Addiction phase, recovery phase, contemplation phase. B. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, transcendence. C. Pre-alcoholic phase, prodromal phase, crucial phase, chronic phase D, risk phase, and recovery phase. Correct answer, C. 8. It can be used as a guide to understand the path of the development of addictions and the recovery process. A. The Jelinek curve. B. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, transcendence, denial. C. The 5-4-3, 2-1 grounding technique. D. TAPS1. Correct answer, A. 9. What is the duration of a recovery process? A. 13 days. B. 1 month. C. 3 years. D. There is not a specific duration, as the path is different for each individual. Correct answer, D. 10. Which of the following is not a pillar in the recovery path? A. A good suggestion is not to involve anybody in this process. B. Make reflections of what you want in your life. C. Work on repairing relationships and fix mistakes. D. It is important to have faith. Correct answer, A. Prevention. Prevention mechanisms in the role of parenting. Parents play an important role considering the predisposing factors explained in the subchapter Reasons Linked with Addictions. Below, there are different measures that parents can use to prevent substance consumption and addictions. Document yourself about addictions. Establish clear expectations of not consuming. Provide your kids with professional therapy support if you consider that they are having mental health challenges that are difficult for them to handle and are affecting their behaviors. Establish open lines of communication where your children are able to share their feelings, experiences, and problems with you. Listen to your kids and make them feel heard. Whenever they want to tell you about a problem, give them the space and time to pay attention to what they say. This means that you need to avoid doing other things while they are speaking. Your communication with your kids should be done from love and compassion, even when these are difficult conversations. Acknowledge your children's feelings. Provide your kids support whenever they need it. It is important that you know your children's friends and encourage them to avoid friendships under conflictive situations. If you realize that your kid has a friend with a problem of addictions or other type of conflictive situation, do not hesitate in contacting their parents. It is also safe that your kid also has a space at home for socializing. However, be aware of what they are doing in private moments. Explain to your children that real friends will not condition friendship, so there's no need of doing things just for becoming part of a group. Find, together with your kids, healthy activities. Establish rules when your kids go to social events. Enroll your children in activities that are not linked with the consumption of substances. Establish periodical activities for bonding with all family members. Be a good example. Avoid the consumption of drugs and demonstrate responsible drinking. Explain to your kids the risks and consequences of addictions. Do not provide your children tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. Make an early intervention in case you are suspecting that your kid can be involved in the consumption of these substances. Reinforce positive behaviors. Teach your kids healthy tools to cope with feelings of anxiety, etc. Encourage a good self-esteem on your kids. Avoid negative messages towards their physical appearance, skills, etc. Develop with your kids specific strategies for avoiding addictions. For example, setting emergency codes with parents. Practice statements on how to decline drug consumption invitations, etc. Prevention mechanisms in the role of NGOs and youth workers. NGOs and youth trainers can create a supportive and informed environment in their communities, helping youngsters and people of other ages avoid addictions and reach healthier lives. The role of NGOs in the prevention of addictions. Train all staff with knowledge in addictions. Organize an education and awareness program to deliver different sessions throughout the year. Share the STAR book and audiobook with other entities. Offer counseling and support group services for learners and staff to work on their mental challenges that can cause substance consumption. Organize workshops and conferences for parents so they are able to acquire in-depth knowledge in addictions as well as prevention mechanisms. Contact and work with other organizations and public bodies to implement preventive measures, as well as dissemination campaigns. Work with schools to raise knowledge and awareness in the topic. Offer trainings to teachers and students. Offer learners additional training and recreational healthy activities. Contribute with new activities in the STAR community. Link to access in the book's introduction. The role of youth workers for preventing their young learners. Organize regular workshops for your young learners in addictions. Make different sessions according to the different chapters of the book. Provide the audiobook version to people with visual impairments. Encourage youngsters to get involved in different healthy lifestyles. Organize interesting activities according to the learner's age, such as sports competencies, cultural activities, etc. Promote a learning environment of respect and no tolerance to bullying or other types of discrimination. Rejection and low self-esteem are factors that could lead to substance consumption. Reinforce your learners' self-confidence with positive messages. For example, congratulate them for their efforts, etc. Organize with your learners a dissemination campaign within their communities to prevent and counteract addictions. Share awareness messages about the negative consequences of addictions. Motivate your youngsters to avoid conflictive situations. Offer support to your learners whenever they need. Contact their parents about specific issues that learners could have. Motivate them to join the STAR community. The link to become a member is in the book's introduction. Become a positive role model and do not promote the use of substances in parties, etc. Organize motivational sessions and invite people who have overcome addictions to share their stories with your learners. The change from the bottom to the top and the change from the top to the bottom. Change from the bottom to the top. This approach refers to individual and community-based efforts to prevent and address addictions. Some of its key elements are individual recovery journeys, personal efforts to counteract addictions through therapy, self-help techniques, etc. Inner circles and families can contribute in preventing addictions, as well as supporting during recovery. Personal empowerment, conducting several strategies to motivate people in their recovery process, boosting resilience and growth. Networks, groups that offer support among all its members, such as Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. Local programs and initiatives, organized by the community, focusing on addiction education, prevention, and counteraction. Change from the top to the bottom. This approach entails policy-driven initiatives developed by institutions, governments, and organizations. Its main objective is to provide environments, projects, and policies that prevents and tackles addictions. For example, legislations and policies, government policies designed to reduce addictions, provide funding treatment programs, provide inclusion programs for people struggling with addictions, etc. Healthcare systems, improve healthcare systems that integrate addiction treatment and prevention, ensure that people has access to medical and psychological services. Public health campaigns, national or local initiatives designed to reduce stigma, increase public knowledge, warn people about the risks associated with addiction, etc. Finance and resources. Allocating funds and resources to support community initiatives, treatment centers, research, etc. For effective addiction prevention and treatment, integrating both approaches is crucial. Moreover, it is important that the society works from the side of inclusion and support, rather from marginalization and shame. The integration and compassion towards a person who is struggling with addictions will facilitate their recovery process. How to create a dissemination campaign to prevent and reduce drugs use and stigma. Establishing a good dissemination campaign focused on addictions is useful in the society, as it provides several benefits, such as raising awareness about the negative consequences about addictions, increase knowledge in addictions, enabling people to understand deeper the signs of addictions, risk factors, substances, etc. Reduces stigma, promotes empathy for those persons who are struggling with addictions, promotes healthy habits, provides resources and support, can prevent people in consuming substances, can be useful in early intervention or counteraction, supports recovery, raises awareness in policymakers about the importance in supporting prevention and treatment programs, etc. Activity. Create a dissemination campaign. Duration, 1 month. The objective of the activity is to prevent and reduce drugs use and stigma through the creation of a dissemination campaign. Step 1. Divide your learners into different groups. Step 2. Ask your learners to watch the video, Breaking Down the Stigma of Addiction, a witness story through art. A real case where William Stower shares his story of how and why he counteracts stigma. Step 3. Each group will have to develop a dissemination plan. Ask them to keep in mind the following considerations. Define a clear objective of the campaign, for example, to reduce stigma, to increase knowledge, to provide resources, etc. Select the target audience. To whom are they going to reach through their messages? What are their ages? Which channels are most frequently used by this audience? Plan your dissemination activities. Some examples are conferences, educational workshops, videos, marches, cartoons, health fairs, peer mentoring, awareness sport events, theatre performances, seminars with parents, art galleries, etc. Craft your dissemination materials, ensuring that they are relevant, clear, and engaging. For example, use personal stories to connect deeper with the audience. Select the most appropriate channels for the target audience. Traditional media, radio, TV, newspapers, posters, etc. Digital media, websites, emailing, newsletters, social media, etc. Step 4. Ask each group to present their dissemination plans. Step 5. Compile all dissemination plans and establish an agenda to implement all the activities during 1 month. The theory of the 1,000 hours. It was promoted by the sociologist Malcolm Gladwell and psychologist Anders Ericsson. The main concept of this theory is that it takes 10,000 hours to become high-skilled in a specific topic. It involves important key aspects. Focus practice. In order to improve skills and performance, people should practice in a deliberated manner. The establishment of specific goals during the whole path, rather a big goal at the end of the path, will facilitate the whole process. Consistency. It is important to practice in a frequent way. Sporadic practice will make the path more difficult. Quality over quantity. It is important to use time in an efficient manner. If people practice excessive hours per day, the efficiency will decrease because they might get tired. Also, the time spent should be focused on that topic, without getting distracted in other things. For example, reading about the subject while having constant interruptions in texting people on social media. This theory can serve as a preventive mechanism against addictions by motivating people to manage their time effectively. People are free to choose to spend their time on things that are beneficial, constructive, or harmful. The more time they get involved in something, the more a good or bad habit evolves. Individuals can reduce the risk of engaging in addictive behaviors by making the intentional decision to work on constructive projects and cultivate healthy skills and interests. It is important to have in mind that none of us were born with specific knowledge. Becoming experts do not exactly depend on the exact number of hours, but the effort and motivation individuals put on a specific activity. Furthermore, this theory is useful to counteract some factors that can lead to addictions, such as having specific learning difficulties. Being involved in healthy, deliberated practice and skill development will provide a sense of achievement and good self-esteem. This will counteract feelings of frustration that can drive people in addictive behaviors. For these reasons, the 1,000-hour theory serves as a practical framework that boosts positive habits and personal growth, mitigating the risk of developing addictions. Quiz 1. One prevention mechanism that could be used by parents is A. To drink and consume drugs with their sons or daughters. B. Before consuming with their sons or daughters' friends, trying to gather some drugs to check together their effects. C. Do not provide children tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. D. Buy drugs together. Correct answer. C. 2. Which of the following statements is not a prevention mechanism that could be used by NGOs?
A. Organize drinking festivals. B. Contact and work with other organizations and public bodies to implement preventive measures, as well as dissemination campaigns. C. Organize an education and awareness program to deliver different sessions throughout the year. D. Work with schools to raise knowledge and awareness in the topic. Offer trainings to teachers and students.
Correct answer. A. 3. Which of the following statements is not a prevention mechanism that could be used by youth workers? A. Organize regular workshops for young learners in addictions. B. Be very strict. Provide negative feedbacks about learners' mistakes. C. Share awareness messages about the negative consequences of addictions. D. Contact parents about specific issues that learners could have. Correct answer. B. 4. It is a theory that serves as a practical framework that boosts positive habits and personal growth, mitigating the risk of developing addictions. A. 1,000-hour theory. B. The sleeping dragon theory. C. The shine theory. D. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding theory. Correct answer. A. 5. Some key aspects of increasing skills and good habits are A. Doing what I want. B. Focused practice, consistency and quality over quantity. C. Spending good time with friends. D. Practicing in a constant way. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding theory. Correct answer. B. 6. Which of the following aspects is not a benefit of a dissemination campaign related to addictions? A. Reduces stigma. B. Raises awareness in policymakers about the importance in supporting prevention and treatment programs. C. Promotes empathy for those persons who are struggling with addictions. D. It makes the society to make pressure on persons to quit addictions through shame. Correct answer. D. 7. One key element of the change from the bottom to the top is A. Individual recovery journeys. B. Healthcare systems. C. Legislations and policies. D. Finance and resources. Correct answer. A. 8. Which of the following aspects is not a consideration in a dissemination campaign? A. Define a clear objective of the campaign. B. Select the target audience. C. Plan dissemination activities. D. Use only one communication channel. Correct answer, D. 9. This approach refers to individual and community-based efforts to prevent and address addictions. A. The individual approach. B. Change from the bottom to the top. C. Change from the top to the bottom. D. The community-based change. Correct answer. B. 10. This approach entails policy-driven initiatives developed by institutions, governments, and organizations. Its main objective is to provide environments, projects, and policies that prevents and tackles addictions. A. The individual approach. B. Change from the bottom to the top. C. Change from the top to the bottom. D. The community-based change. Correct answer, C. Notes.